Zakaria, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and may the peace and blessings of God be upon you all.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Has the holy month of Ramadan started yet?
In South Africa, the holy month of Ramadan has not yet started. It will be starting this evening at sunset. That is the case because we determined the beginning of the month based on the sighting of the moon, and the moon has not yet been sighted in South Africa.
Okay. What is the significance of Ramadan? What is Ramadan?
Firstly, thank you for the opportunity. Ramadan is a month in the Islamic calendar, which runs according to the lunar cycle. In this month, Muslims fast from dawn until dusk every day. They abstain from eating and drinking and from sexual intercourse. All of these physical acts or external acts that they do it with a greater purpose of achieving a spiritual benefit. And that is self-discipline, or what we call taqwa, to teach ourselves the quality of obeying God's law, whatever that may be. So it's a really spiritual month for Muslims. It's a month in which we increase in all types of good deeds. At least we strive to do so, giving charity, looking after community, because, you know, in the abstinence from food and these basic needs of a human being, enforcing our bodies to refrain from these things with the objective of pleasing God, we also become more self-aware in all of our actions. So it's about looking after the community. We feel a little bit of hunger. We deprive ourselves of some of our pleasures so that we can be in tune with God, but also we can be more appreciative of His favors upon us and thus serve His creation better as well.
Now, what's the real reason? Why fast? I mean, in my intro, I said according to the Islamic belief, the Koran was unveiled to Prophet Muhammad during this time. Is that why there is this month of Ramadan?
Well, one of the reasons that the month is most blessed to Muslims is the fact that the beginning of the Quranic revelation started in this month. But why we specifically fast in this month is simply because the Quran commands us to do so. Obviously, to us, a lot of the blessings of this month stem from the fact that the Quran was revealed in it. That is correct. However, the Quran tells us that, O you who believe, fasting has been ordained upon you as it has been ordained upon those before you, that you may attain the special quality of taqwa, which is God consciousness. And so, really, as Muslims, we believe that the cosmology of the self is not just made up of mind and matter. We have mind, we have our physical bodies, we have our spiritual hearts, we have our lower selves, and our divinely gifted soul. And so in this month, we strive to train our lower selves to take the command of our rational mind and our spiritual heart, and thus follow the divinely gifted soul towards the pleasure of God, as opposed to feeding the lower self and thus having our spiritual hearts and our rationality dragged along to wherever the pleasures of the lower self decides to take us. And so it's a lot about self-discipline and teaching ourselves to submit to God and to ensure that goodness for all of humanity.
Now, Zakaria, we say it's a holy month. Is it exactly 30 days? When will Ramadan? In South Africa, it starts tonight, as you explained in the beginning of our interview. When will this year's the Ramadan end?
Right. So as I mentioned before, we judge the beginning and the ending of the month based on the sighting of the moon. Right? The actual sighting, some people do it according to calculation and etc. Some people use a global sighting. However, the most preponderant view is that we base the beginning and the ending on the month on the sighting of the moon. And so the month begins tonight because the moon was not sighted last night, and so it will definitely be sighted tonight. The month will be a maximum of 30 days, a minimum of 29 days. So 29 days after tonight, we'll go out again to try and sight the moon. If we sight the moon, then the following day will be Eid. If not, then the month will be 30 days, and the following day will then be what we call Eid al-Fitr, the Eid or the celebration upon breaking the fast.
Okay, now Eid al-Fitr is how you celebrate the end of the holy month. And what is that like? What is it? What is Eid al-Fitr?
On the day of Eid al-Fitr, it's a day of celebration of Muslims. So what we do is, in the morning after our early morning prayer, the men and females, everybody go out to the prayer spaces. Sometimes it's held on a field, on an open space. Sometimes it's in the mosques. We go to these open spaces, and the imam will then give a sermon to the congregation, speaking about, being grateful and filled with a sense of appreciation for all of the favors of God. We will speak to us about justice. He will speak to us about appreciating each other. Thereafter, we'll perform a prayer together. And throughout the day, then, it's just a day of merriment, of looking after one another. People go to their families' homes, their friends' homes. They have a little bit of something nice to eat. They share with each other, etc. But one of the most important parts of this day is that before the Muslims can actually go to the Eid prayer, every person that has sufficient money has to share, has to give something, and the minimum amount is stipulated by Islam, has to give a minimum amount of charity to all those people that don't have sufficient to celebrate the day in a beautiful way. And so it really has this whole ethos of helping one another, of community, of love for one another, of caring for each other, the rich for the poor, and everybody celebrating together.
Okay, that's at the end of the holy month of Ramadan.
That's at the end of the holy month of Ramadan.
But the holy month of Ramadan in South Africa starts tonight. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Zakaria Haneka. We wish you well and peace during the holy month of Ramadan. Wish you well over the fast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
we hope that you have a blessed month as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Zakaria Haneka. He's a member of the Muslim Judicial Council.